Okay, hi there, everybody. This is Jody Tate, Blue Door Group of Wilkinson ERA, and I am here with my teammate, Jerry Aldridge, otherwise known as Dr. Aldridge. Jerry has a PhD, as a lot of you know, in immunology and infectious diseases with an emphasis on respiratory diseases in research. And we did one video a week or so ago with Jerry, just some Q&A on this coronavirus. So this is the second part, a little brief Q&A on a couple things that have been asked of us. So I'm going to jump right in with the first, what I think is a simple question, but it keeps coming up. They recommend, Jerry, all the time about washing your hands for 20 seconds. What's the magic number about 20 seconds? Tell us about that.
So first, I'm not so sure 20 seconds is the magic number. It's more, washing hands is more to do with the amount of time with the water. So a lot of people think that washing hands is about the soap, when the reality is, and I could say with experience with flu, soap's not going to kill flu. It won't stop it. The whole purpose is the amount of time your hands are under the water, you're knocking it off your hands. That's what it's about. So if you think about to physicians that are preparing to do a surgery, they'll be under there for minutes at a time, not 20 seconds, and that's to make sure everything's off. So, I mean, that's the biggest thing is the soap isn't particularly effective except for getting the dirt and things off, loosening it up. To knock off viruses or bacteria, as the case may be, not for now, but to clean your hands is just about the amount of time your hands is under the water.
Okay, that's great. Good to hear. I knew that people had said that it didn't have to be any sort of particular soap, but now we understand that it's more about the time than it is anything else, to give it time to just essentially to wash that off. Okay, so our next kind of meatier topic, it really has to do with what we keep hearing all about, which is herd immunity. So if you could, in layman's terms, give us some ideas about herd immunity, what's it mean to us, and is that something that we're working towards? Are we in the midst of it? Just
So
tell us a little bit more about that.
basically, herd immunity, the concept is enough people have been exposed to the virus and have a memory response so that they're resistant to stop the virus from spreading. So the best analogy I can think of, let's think of a row of 100 dominoes. Set up 100 dominoes, you touch the first one, and it's going to knock down all 100. All 100 people were infected. What if 70% of the people were now resistant? So we permanently attach 70 of these dominoes, maybe even number 2, to the ground before we tip the first one. Well, when you tip the first one and it hits the second one, it's a dead end because it can't go anywhere else. It's permanently attached. The same thing with this virus. If one person is infected and they're exposed to 4 others that have already been exposed, or they're around 4 others that have already been exposed, you're not going to spread the virus. It's a dead end. So the number of people that need to have immunity will depend on how infectious the virus is. So, for instance, one of the most infectious ones you can see, respiratory, is mumps. We think about the Disney outbreak a couple years ago where people were not vaccinated. The reality is, in this one is, for every one person with mumps, they believe 10 to 12 people are exposed. For coronavirus, it's much smaller. So it's about 1 or 2 people exposed from each infected person. So as opposed to mumps, where we would need 90% of the people immune to stop it, the mathematical models are suggesting about 70% of the people. So once we have 70% exposed, we should be able to control this. The catch comes, and where I'm seeing some of what I would call confusion, particularly in the media, is they're talking about this will naturally occur. And well, yes, if the virus spreads long enough, 70% of the people will eventually be exposed. But that kind of defeats the purpose of herd immunity. The purpose of herd immunity is to stop those people from being infected. So the reality is we probably will not realize herd immunity until an effective vaccine. That's really, the vaccine is what will allow lots of people to become immune, if you will, to the virus. So at this point in time, the best thing we can do still is to maintain the masks and the social distancing, because what we want to do, and the real purpose of this is to slow down the spread, because if the virus spreads fast, our healthcare care system cannot maintain. Right now, the data suggests about 1 out of every 11 people, at least confirmed infections, they need medical attention. So if the virus spreads fast and too many people are exposed at one time, then we will overwhelm the medical system. So right now, until we can get a vaccine to really obtain herd immunity, the best thing we can do is to wear masks to protect everyone else and maintain our social distance. That way we keep the spread slow. And if a vaccine is never developed, if the virus spreads slowly, eventually enough people will be exposed, but it'll be at a more moderate rate, if you will, to keep from having a crisis like what we see in New York City or in New Orleans, for example.
So let's go back to that, because I understand what you're saying about the spread and 70% of the people being exposed to it. Back to wearing the masks, and with the governor's phases of reopening everything and encouraging people to wear masks. The masks are designed to protect others, not necessarily ourselves. Is that correct?
Absolutely. The whole point is, with this virus, there's evidence that suggests just talking like we're doing now, the aerosols that are coming out of our mouth will carry the virus. So the purpose of the mask is to stop that, or a sneeze or a cough, or whatever the case may be. These masks aren't sealed perfectly the way an N95 would be. Those masks can protect the wearer, but the cloth masks, the surgical masks that most people are wearing, they're not necessarily going to protect you. They may decrease the amount that you're exposed to, which is a good thing in itself. But the main thing is, right now, we know that a large percentage of people become infected with this and they never showed symptoms. They're what we call asymptomatic carriers. That is the problem, because we have people at the grocery store that don't mean any harm to anyone. They don't have it, they don't know that they have the virus. But if they're there without a mask and they cough or they sneeze or just talking, they can release aerosols into the air that the next person would come along and breathe. But if we have the mask, if everyone wears the mask and we maintain the distance, is 6 feet the absolute perfect? Who knows? But it seems to be working. So if we maintain distance, we all wear the mask, I think we can slow the spread. And right now, the biggest thing we can do is just slow the spread. It's going to keep spreading. It's here. It probably will become endemic. This will be a future cause of a common cold, just like the 4 coronaviruses that are currently circulating. We just need it to spread slowly. All the comparison that we're seeing to the 1918 Spanish flu, where we had 100 million people die, what made that so bad was that there was no control. The virus spread very fast, and when you allow it to spread fast, it will select for virus particles that are more virulent. It will change over time. If we keep it slow, then we have a much better chance of avoiding something like that.
I gotcha. Okay, so one last question for this particular Q&A session. You've talked about this with me, but I've also heard more about it through the media. But tell us how humidity comes into play with all of this, because I've heard controversial back and forth about humidity. But, in your opinion, give us your take on, as humidity rises, what happens to this virus?
So what I'll do is we won't think about what everyone's heard in the media. I'm going to tell you about the data that I know of. A colleague of mine, Dr. Peter Palese, who's now retired, he was at Mount Sinai in New York City. Back in 2009 or 10, he did a study with influenza, which spreads similar to flu. It's through these coronavirus. It spreads through aerosols that are released from your body. What he found was, once humidity hits 45 to 50%, these aerosol particles, the water particles in the air that would carry the virus, can't stay. So water is like a magnet. It will attract other water particles. So if the air is very dry, the small particles you release can float for a long time, minutes to possibly hours. If we have 50% humidity or higher, what happens is these small water droplets that we release that would otherwise linger, they'll suck water out of the air, and they become so large that they fall straight to the floor. So in essence, the sneeze, it comes out and goes straight to the floor when humidity's higher. The thought process historically has been that we get flu and colds in the wintertime because people are packed inside and we're close quarters. And the reality is it has nothing to do with that. It's that the humidity is very low in the winter, even more so inside homes or restaurants or grocery stores, because when you heat the air, you're decreasing the humidity even more. We can look historically, you don't see these types of airborne respiratory diseases very often in tropical regions. Why is that? It's because the humidity is high. So that's why, when the summer comes, will it stop the spread? No, it won't stop it, but it will slow it down. If we go back to 2009, the flu pandemic, for instance, it did spread during the summer, but by the time May and June hit, it slowed down tremendously. So the humidity doesn't stop it, but it will slow the spread. And that's why in homes, I highly recommend people keep the humidity level around 45 to 50%. If you go much higher, now you're running the risk of mold and things like this developing. But the best way to decrease the spread of the virus in your own home is to keep the humidity at a moderate level.
That's great. Wonderful. Thank you for answering those few questions for us today, Jerry. And we're going to continue these short follow-up sessions with Jerry as things progress. If you are out there and have a question, don't hesitate to get in touch with us. You can reach us at info@openthebluedoor.com, or you can reach out and call us. Go to our website, openthebluedoor.com, and the phone number is 336-747-3245. As we have said in the past, Blue Door Group continues to work hard out there to not only sell and market homes for our clients, but also to get as much good, solid information out to all of you as we can. So thank you very much. We appreciate it, Jerry. Everybody have a great day.